So, okay.
It's a fair question, considering you are not working, yet you have the most busy schedule of all.
You got to remember
why everybody's laughing. Let me fill it in because nobody sees this part. Alex will always have a different username every time he logs in to record, and it's usually some joke. So today it is, why is James so busy? So that's why James was just laughing.
To be fair, it was, why is James so busy, considering none of the racing series he's employed to talk about are racing, but it was too many characters.
Fair. All good points. I think here's the thing, Alex. It is the summer break. And I made a conscious effort this year to actually break on the summer break, right? So in absence of IndyCar or F1 or IMSA responsibilities, last year, James, or maybe 2022, James, would have found a way to fill that with some random appearance or speaking engagement or something or whatever. But I figured it was probably good to actually take this break. So, I've been up at the cottage, as you guys know and saw. This week, we're down in the Bahamas on a bit of a trip with some friends, which is happy and fun and exciting. So, I'm busy in that I'm not sitting at home, but I'm not going to lie and say that. So,
just to clarify, you're doing the vacation from your vacation right now?
Mm-hmm.
Doing the vacation from my vacation? I don't understand.
Wasn't the cottage kind of vacation?
Yeah, but we have 3 weeks, so I'm doing multiple vacations within one period of overall vacation.
I mean, Tim, you can't really talk.
I was just gonna say
you're on vacation in Indianapolis. That it went to Michigan as a vacation from your vacation from Los Angeles.
Are we calling this vacation? Are we calling Indianapolis vacation?
Are you living and getting all of your needs met by your mother and your stepdad?
No, they're not here.
Where are they?
Michigan.
Okay, so for the last week, you've had them running your show.
Yeah, the Michigan part was. Yeah, the Michigan part I would count as, but not
before
this.
you went to Michigan, they were...
Yes, all 2 days of that.
Well... You took a vacation from your vacation.
It's weird. I'm glad you're muting your mic in between when you're speaking. There's a weird amount of ambient noise coming out of your program. Like right now, it's loud. Beautifully quiet. And then as soon as you unmute.
I would say it's probably the air conditioner, but I was going to get rid of that in post.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, you've got fancy technology now and AI and all sorts of weird stuff that does stuff for you, which is cool. It's good for you. I'm excited. I'm happy for you.
Can we talk about, that's an interesting point. I was reading something on the internet about like how the advancements of AI and all these things that we didn't really ask for, but it's actually become quite a useful tool in a lot of different aspects. And the future of it is very exciting in terms of like how it could potentially help businesses and individuals and everything in society. Yet we still use it to generate images of people with 3 tits. Like it's pretty wild.
It's a wide range of use.
It's still like,
is that what people are using it for?
I mean, that's a lot of what I see. Like that's the main use.
Your chat
that
GPT,
might just be what you're searching.
Yeah, your chat GPT like history might look a lot different than mine. I don't know. That's I feel like that's not what a lot of people are using it for.
I don't know if that's true. Anyways,
so. Well, hell, Alex, you had a big weekend. So this is, what day is it? Monday? We're recording this on Monday. There wasn't a lot of racing. There was IMSA at Road America, which, did you watch any of that, Alex? I'm assuming no, because you were busy with your own. Yeah. It was actually like a pretty good race at the end. Like there was a late yellow and Penske won too. Congrats to those guys. Matthew Jaminet it's pretty good, man. It's pretty good at driving sports cars. That guy's good at driving race cars. He's really good. That was a fun thing to watch. He won with Nick Tandy. Congrats to them. But you weren't watching because A, you don't watch other motorsports for the most part. And B, you were busy watching some racing of your own over in Saratoga.
I was, James. As we all know, I have a new partnership this year with a thoroughbred company and their kind of marketing arm, America's Best Racing. And this was one of the events.
Horse whistle trot?
Nope. This is one of the events that was on my calendar that worked out from from a date standpoint to go to. So obviously went down to Keeneland to kind of get the introductory thing, which is in Kentucky. Did that in like April. Went to the Oaks, so the prelim to the Derby in May. And then I went to this past weekend. So Saratoga Racecourse. This is a crazy fact. It is the oldest sporting facility in the United States. It is older than every other thing on Earth. It was built, or not on Earth, in the United States. It was built in 1868. And the history and the legacy of it there is phenomenal. And I'd always heard that is the horse racing mecca in so many respects. And I never really understood it, because you Google like Saratoga Racecourse and you look at the pictures and it's like, it looks like a horse track, right? And there's much fancier ones, Del Mar and San Diego, where they do the Breeders' Cup, and obviously Churchill had a big remodel and everything.
Such a big horse guy now.
Everything that they said about this event, and it's not really an event. It's called the Summer Meet. It's basically July and August. Every single weekend, there is different levels of horse racing that goes on. So we went. A group of us went for what was known as Whitney Day, and Whitney Day is one of the qualifying races to get to the Breeders' Cup. And the Breeders' Cup is a $7 million horse race. So, it's kind of second only to the Derby and the Triple Crown events, the Preakness and that's Belmont, that sort of thing. So very cool to be there for that. Very cool to see why everyone loves that place so much. Highly recommend, even if you're not a fan of horses. A lot of the people in my group had never even considered going to a horse track, and everyone kind of fell in love with it. So that was awesome. But the highlight was obviously getting to meet my horse. So
Castle Run.
So he got transported from actually Indiana to Saratoga like 3 days before we got there. And he's progressing so well through kind of the training program and getting used to all of the different types of training that they have to go through in order to be considered racehorse eligible and that sort of thing, that he's going to race before the summer's over up in Saratoga, which is really exciting for obviously me, but also just everyone involved in that program.
So will you go back up for that?
Our schedule gets pretty effed here starting next weekend. So probably not, but if there's a window, then yeah, I would try. Yes, James.
Sorry, yes, James. Mr. Hinchcliffe with your hands up.
Yeah. So, hi, James, longtime listener, first time caller. I'm not sure if I'm the only one here that was unaware that your horse had never raced. So this would be like, he's still in training and this would be his first race?
Well, he is just now a year old. And a year and a half is kind of when they can start racing.
Fair. I guess I don't know how old you are. Tim, did you know that this horse had never raced? That old...
Yeah, because I have to listen to this podcast.
Oh, he said that at some point?
Oops.
Remember when we thought he was racing in the Kentucky Derby?
Yeah, pretty dumb. So what was very cool about meeting him was I obviously got the whole behind the scenes experience on the backside of the track where all the stables are and everything. So we went there 7 a.m. Saturday morning.
Big backside guy.
Not only got to meet him, but got to look at all the other horses that were going through their preparations and whatnot before their big day of racing.
And Thistle Run was definitely the best looking one.
No, he was not.
Thistle Gallop.
Fairly small, but again, he's a year old, so give him a minute. And what the trainer was telling us was really fascinating in terms of how much of a human element they have in competing. So a lot of times, or not a lot of times, I assume that a lot of times trainers would put horses in certain races that they thought they had the best shot of winning at, like, because they're trying to make money. Like that's the thing. And that is true. But the the real reason that they're doing it is because a horse has like confidence, and it knows if it's beating other horses. It knows if it struggled in a race. It knows if it got its ass kicked by other horses. It can affect its like performance and capacity in future races if its confidence gets knocked too early.
Okay, but do we know that? Do we know for sure that they know? Like, because I feel like I make assumptions about what my dog knows, but I'm not basing that on anything.
Horses, I will say that horses have very telling emotional features with what they really do with their body language and their ears. And they really give you an insight into their soul via their ears and the position of their ears and everything. And you can have a horse that's like breathing hard and really struggling at the end of the race to win or to finish second or whatever, but its ears are in a state where it's like, it's enjoying it. And then you've got the horses where it's like, it's defeated.
Gassed and like, defeated. Yeah. Pretty cool.
And so, but they don't have a memory like dogs. That's kind of like, oh, the next day when my owner's petting me and feeding me, everything's good. They have like,
Alex, you're a dog owner. The next 10 minutes.
That
thing has forgotten everything.
So horses carry that with them a little bit longer. So I thought that was very interesting. And they apparently also, like, when they are in a race and they are like reaching their threshold and their limit, like there are horses that have the like mental toughness to break through that and keep going. And there's other horses that don't. Just like as a human being, when it's like you have 2 reps to go or whatever on a heavy set, it's like you have some that just suffer through it and you have others that quit. And like horses are the same. Like they know that they're close. They know that they're kind of on the limit, but they just keep hammering, which I think is very cool. And that's why people often reference them as athletes, because it's more than just their physical attributes. Apparently there's a very big mental game inside to horse racing that not a lot of people maybe are aware of. And I thought that was very cool to learn about.
I think that's awesome. That's very cool to learn about. I also didn't know that. I also, look, when we did our episode of Tiny Cars way back at the start of the year, and it came out, one of the questions I believe was, what is something that people don't know about you? And your answer was that I'm actually really nice, which again is a relative kind of scale thing. But I think if you watch any of the videos of you kind of meeting Castle Run for the first time, you're like a big softie when it comes to animals. You seem to like genuinely really enjoy meeting that creature and had some kind of connection there.
In his defense, it's the same with kids. So Alex is only mean when it comes to adults, and that's fair.
No, adults objectively suck. Yeah. Kids they haven't learned yet how to be pricks. So was it nice? I mean, did you feed them lots? Did you cuddle them? Like, what's the relationship there?
It's interesting. So thoroughbred racehorses are not your farm horses. Like they're I mean, to a certain extent, this
is why you guys connected so well.
Right.
They are other people.
They are single track focused. They're very like competitive. They're type A. They're attention seeking. They're high. I mean, he's a male, so he's high testosterone. Like they're moody bitches, which is great. Like I loved it. Like and they have kind of the attributes of a dog as well. Like they're kind of, once they settle in, they know that like you're fine and you're giving them attention, they stop. Like the only difference is instead of, a dog pawing you, like they'll bite your shoulder and that hurts more. Cause they're like, yo, I'm still here. I didn't say you could stop. So keep petting me. And
slightly different than the paw. Like, no, hey, keep going. Like,
right.
When you're dog,
different. Yeah. And you can't feed them because they are on a full nutrition program, supplement program.
Good call.
No, they're not.
No
these
apples,
aren't farm horses.
No carrots, none of that stuff.
No. These are purpose-built bred machines.
Highly trained, finely tuned athletic machines.
And it was funny when I showed up, I had a cup of coffee because it was 7:00 in the morning. And the trainer was like, no. Like you gotta put that away, because if they even get like a pectogram of caffeine in them, so they get tested pretty much every day. And caffeine is a banned substance. And if they have even a pectogram of caffeine in their urine, the trainer gets banned for 90 days. So horse racing has come under a lot of scrutiny, as it should, because there was a run 3, 4, or 5 years ago where we were losing horses. And there was a lot of horses that were getting hurt, that were dying, that were having problems. And so I don't know what the main horse racing federation is, but there is one, right?
Yeah,
kind of clamp down
horse racing.
Right. Yeah. Really clamp down on, regulations, requirements, restrictions, all this sort of thing in the aim of protecting the animals, because ultimately they can't speak and they can't tell you when they're sick or not feeling well or whatever. And it's been like a 180-degree improvement in terms of like the quality of life of these horses and their injuries going down and all this sort of thing. So it's a really cool thing that unfortunately cost some animals, but the whole premise of horse racing has really changed. There's a lot of programs now, because it's questions I get asked all the time. Well, what happens when he's done if he's not like super successful and doesn't get, go out to a stud farm?
Right.
But there is the majority of the owners, before they'll even purchase a horse / put a horse with an individual trainer, will kind of require that there's some sort of after race program that they go into, whether that be, get given to an establishment that helps children with disabilities, whether that gets, transferred into a horse that does show jumping, whether that gets transferred into a horse that is a buddy horse. So horses are inherently super pack oriented animals and creatures. And so if you go to a horse race, you'll notice that, it's a high stress environment for them because they're racing. And so as they get paraded kind of through the paddock, and then the jockeys get on them and they kind of walk out to the race, they always have a horse with them. And it's a buddy horse, which is basically an emotional support horse for the racehorse, and it's a retired racehorse. So he kind of goes along with them and tells them like, "You're gonna be fine, dude. Just go run as fast as you can. You'll get a good old nice dinner," type of thing. So the point of that is like, there's a place for these horses after the fact, whether they are uber successful or not. And that's been a big change as well in the industry. The last thing I'm going to talk about on horses, because this isn't a horse show, is I met a jockey, obviously very little, but the most successful one really of the past couple of years. And I found this fascinating. I guess I knew, but didn't really know that they ride multiple horses a day, which makes sense. And they will see the horse for the first time that they race it 3 minutes before they race it.
That's wild.
And there's there's no practice. There's no nothing. Like, they'll talk to the trainer before they get on the horse and be like, all right, this horse likes to go out fast, or this horse can't be inside of another horse. So you got to get him out, or this horse loves the rail or whatever. But other than that, it's like, get on him and go. And the other thing is, so the jockeys, if you're a good jockey, you're obviously in high demand. And so different owners, trainers want to hire you to ride their horse because they're looking for the best result possible, obviously. But it's a fixed rate. So jockeys, regardless of if you're the Michael Schumacher of jockeys or the whatever of jockeys, right?
I was so curious to see what driver you picked is like the one.
I'm not going to do it.
Come on.
You make the same amount. The base rate is the same, but then obviously
you negotiate your percentage.
No, it's fixed percentage as well. So if you win, you get, what was it? Was it 5%? If you get second, it goes down as you fall further
fixed.
back. But that's fixed. But like, if you're an elite jockey, you're going to be
this price.
Again, the horse
jockey
racing,
union.
The jockey union, right? I'm sure they have one. Drivers can't get one, but I'm sure horse jockeys.
Weird, eh?
And So that's why you obviously want to be good, because if you're in a $7 million race versus a $60,000 race, 5% of $7 million is way different than 5% of 60,000. Same as anything in sport, life, commissions. But I thought that was very interesting that ultimately they never see the horse before they race it, really. I mean, they'll revisit races with horses they've run in the past, but like if they do 10 races in a day, it's 10 brand new horses every day. So pretty,
I guess that's good for the jockey
insane.
because you get paid per horse, right? You get paid per race. Doesn't really matter. Yeah. It's like you're just glued to one horse and that's the only horse you can race. And so you only get to do it once. That's wild though, that they're all stuck on the same rate. At the same time, if you look at it the other way, I'm trying to say this without offending anybody. I'm sure there are massive differences between good jockeys and bad jockeys, but like at the elite level, you've got to imagine most of the jockeys are pretty similar on skill level of that type of racing. So like majority of it is the horse, right? Or is that an ignorant statement?
I mean, the majority is the car, right?
Well, but it depends. In Formula One, yes. In
I don't know
IndyCar,
that I have the
so.
answer. I don't know that I have the answer to that. I don't know that I understand it as much. I don't know that it's a coincidence that, I mean, I think his stat is he's won 18 Breeders' Cups. I don't know that that's a coincidence that he's always been on the best horse.
Chicken and egg, right? Yeah. Like, does he get hired by the guy with the best horse? But you're right. Yeah. But also, I don't know.
But also, like, it's a horse, right? It's an even more, it's not more of an inanimate object than a car, but in the sense that it's got more of a mind of its own than a car is true.
Yes.
And so it's funny, like horse
manipulatable than a car.
Right. But I think if you like look at why horse racing is so wild from a betting perspective, it's like, yeah, you can have a horse that's a favorite because it's done X, Y, and Z in its history. And this race is fitting to its history and it ran well a week and a half ago. But like ultimately, if the horse doesn't want to today,
it's a living creature and has bad days. Right.
Exactly. Whereas
cars don't have bad days.
Exactly. It can have a bad setup.
Bad setups, bad drivers, bad luck, but not bad days. Right. Yeah, that's it is fascinating. I wonder. Again, I'm not. I guess I was more asking than kind of stating there of how much.
I don't know. I don't know the answer. I think like anything, it's probably way more than you think. I probably think we all look at it and you're like, oh, he just gets on and rides it and whips it.
Oh, he just gets it and turns left. It's the same as
No, I bet there's a lot to it.
So I want to backtrack quickly. I know this isn't a horse podcast. I want to backtrack quickly to what you said about the retired horses becoming the like emotional support horses, which is hilarious. Alex, please don't try to bring that onto your next Southwest flight or whatever. But how did so for the retired horses that go into that role, right? They're like that walk that you do before the race, right? Which I think was originally created so that like bettors could get a look at the horse before it goes out.
Still the same reason.
Okay. So still it's like a small track inside the kind of
called the paddock
area. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
We're all learning together, guys. And so you got the emotional support horse with them. That horse is used to doing that because it's done it when it was racing. How does that horse know it's not racing? Like, how do you know that horse isn't like super anxiety ridden, being like, oh man, I'm about to race. I remember this. This sucks.
I don't know, but they're not, because they kind of walk through. So there's the ones that walk with them and they will trot with them, and they'll like, it's funny. So you have horse A, who's the emotional support horse, and he'll kind of run along at a fairly decent clip once they're out on the track going to the gate, and the racehorse will be head turned into him, like fully invested in him as like oh my God, like I'm going to do whatever you do because I'm freaked out right now, and runs right alongside of him. But the one that's leading it is like super chill, knows exactly what's going on. And then you also have the horses that like lead everyone out, and they're kind of staged at the entrance of the track, the exit of the paddock. And it's kind of the walkthrough where people are standing along the rails and the sides and everything. And when they're just standing there, dude, like you as an individual who paid $10 GA can go up and pet these horses, and they are like farm horses. Like they're chill, they're relaxed, even though they're all thoroughbreds, even though they're all ex-race horses. Like they're just hanging out, enjoying life. Like, so I don't know, but like they know, because there was none of those horses that were all foaming at the mouth, anxious, that sort of thing.
Well, because they've had a real meal and they don't have any like stuff on them, and they don't have a dude or chick sitting on their back. And
well, no, they do. They all have riders, but they're not. Yes, it's a different.
Even the emotional support ones.
Well, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I wasn't sure if they were just like being towed along or whatever. Very cool. So, I know you don't bet on sports, but while you were there, did you or anybody you know place any bets on any of the races that were happening?
What's cool? Well, oh yeah, every race. What's cool about horse racing is because it's wildly unpredictable. It's not like sports betting in a lot of respects, because the bets are like $2 to $9, right? Because the odds are so stacked against you that like a $10 trifecta bet pays like almost $200. Like it pays really well, right?
Is a trifecta like a parlay basically? Like you're
no,
betting on
a trifecta. Dude, there's so many bet. Like we got way deep into the weeds, but like
I don't want to.
No, so a trifecta is essentially you're choosing the top 3 horses, but you can do it in different ways where you're choosing the exact order of the top 3, or like any 3 horses can come in any order, right? And so like you can make, if you hit one or two, if you hit one or two bets in a day, and there's 14 races a day, you're going to be up.
You're laughing. Money. Okay.
Yeah. So like, but we went 0 for 13 on day 1. And then the last race, we all finally got one, and we were like up money. And it was like, thank God.
The last race of the day.
The last race of the day. And here's the thing. Because I don't really know what I'm doing, and I didn't really understand my bet. There was some of the people in our group that bet on a horse because of the name of it. And I didn't. But I bet on another thing, but I didn't really know what I bet on. So they were all excited because like the horse they chose because they liked the name won. And I was like, oh, good for you. This sucks. And so I opened my app like 30 minutes later as we were walking out to like look at how much I had lost on the day. And it was like, you just won $800. And I was like, holy, how did I do that? And everyone was like, what the is that bet? That shouldn't have won. Like that's a mistake. That's an error. Like there's no way, blah, blah, blah. And we were like, I was like, yeah,
bank error in your favor.
And we all got home and got on Google, and it was like, oh no, sure. It wasn't an error. We just have no clue what we're doing.
You could accidentally place the 3rd, 7th, and 9th best horse, and that's a win somehow.
It was wild. Yeah. But no, great fun. Good time. Thank you to West Point and America's Best for having us all out there.
Yeah, that's funny, man. That's awesome. Well, I can't wait for Hotel Gallup to run his first race, and going to be there and really cheer him on. It's going to be great.
All right. Well, Alex, it's Thursday, so hopefully there will have been an announcement from the team already. But you have an announcement. We decided not to turn you into glue after your thumb injury, right?
Well, there's still time. Yeah. So Monday, we're recording this on Monday. I had my follow-up with my doctor, the surgeon, this morning, and all is good from his side. The screws and bone and the placement of everything is how he left it. The mobility and range of motion is pretty much all the way back. Swelling's almost gone, and there's no pain. So he's good from his side. And as we're recording this, it's not official on Monday yet, just because IndyCar doctors need to have their own look at things. And that'll be Wednesday morning, but it's fine. So yes, Gateway is a go, which thank goodness, because that would have been awkward.
Well, cool, man. No, that's great. We're obviously all very happy to hear that everything's gone well. The doctors are happy. You're happy. How's rehab? Are you still doing all the same stuff? Are you still in there every day? Like, what's the story with what you're doing to kind of progress the injury?
No, man, it's rehab every day. There's a lot that goes into it, as you know. But yeah, I mean, it's getting, still range of motion is the number one thing. Like, as we talked about, there was really no strength loss because it wasn't immobilized for that long. So I did a grip test and it was 120 on the left, 110 on the right. And that was just because I didn't know how hard I could actually pull without it going to hurt. So I think that's pretty close. And yeah, so it's just, I mean, there's screws in my bones, so it's stiff. So we're just working on stiffness. Like that's the big thing. But I'm so thankful that through this whole process, like there has not been pain, which is pretty crazy.
Wild. Is the plan at some point, probably I imagine at this point postseason, to get the screws out, or is it just?
Oh no, those are very much a part of me forever.
No way. Oh, that's cool. Most of all of my screws I got to take out. They're in a bag in my closet somewhere.
So the main, I obviously don't know. I'm not a doctor. I believe.
Wait, what?
Reading between the lines, the reason mine don't have to come out is because there was no plate or anything ever put in, and there was no pins.
Okay.
These were purely just screws drilled, self-tapping screws drilled into bone. So like they're good to go.
Drill them in. Love it.
All right. You flew commercial, right? Because you still weren't flying. Did they set anything off?
Unfortunately not. I was pretty bummed.
Bummer.
So I hate to be, I don't want to talk this whole episode, but I have to give this travel story because you guys are going to be impressed, but it's going to take 90 seconds.
We're a travel podcast.
I'm following this up with travel stuff. So you're good.
Great. All right. So coming back from Saratoga, we were going to fly out of Albany, connect through DC, back to Indy Sunday night. Originally, we were all as a group on a Southwest flight from Albany to Baltimore, back to Indy. That flight got in a bit later. It was a longer layover, and I had my doctor's appointment very early on Monday, and I wanted to get a full night's sleep and everything, so I just chose to go to the slightly earlier flight, shorter connection, all this sort of thing. Well, as luck would have it, the flight got pushed back and delayed to the same time as the Southwest flight, which was convenient for all of us going to the airport together, but it also meant that I missed a connection in DC. Problem with that was I wasn't going to make it back in time for my doctor's appointment. So what did I do? I was like, how far is DCA from Baltimore? And we Ubered and busted our ass and got on the Southwest flight that everyone else was on in the first place. And I looked like a real dummy because I did all of these things just to get home at the same exact time that I should have in the first place.
At least it was expensive.
At least it was very expensive and stressful.
I like the thumbs up that is like this because this one's like, oh, you can see a pretty good motion. Oh, man. Well, look, it is a travel podcast, and so that story is very fitting. I feel like that kind of stuff happens all the time. I had a thing this morning, Monday morning, early flights, worst time to fly, right? Business people are going business places. Anything early is bad. Doesn't matter what day of the week. I figured a 7:30 flight was kind of missing the mad rush.
Is this Pearson?
No, we were in Indy. So we were in Canada. We drove back to Indy last night. So Sunday, we got home Sunday, like late afternoon, basically unpacked, did laundry, repacked, went to bed, 7:30 flight out of Indy and on Monday. And we got there, and dude, the TSA pre-line was out into the middle of like the foyer area in Indy.
At Indy?
At Indy. And then
I've never seen it like that.
And then it hung a right and came back towards the like check-in counter. So like it would have just kept going towards Terminal B, but they had to swing it.
You were like past the Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, we were like level with whatever's next to like McDonald's. So like out and hang a left, walking that way, whatever. Mm-hmm. And so we get there, we're like, this is messed up. Too many people have TSA pre. We're going to go look at going to Terminal B, and it's going through normal security. We go through normal security. We go over there, and we're like, the line's pretty long. What they've done, and I don't know if this is new or not, but the entire right side was now TSA pre. So even though the line went to the middle of the foyer, rather than having like 2 lines and machines servicing TSA pre and the other 4 regular security, all 6 were TSA pre. So was the line massive? Absolutely. Did it go way faster and I still didn't have to take off my shoes? Yes. So there was a mild moment of panic because we stood there. We're like, I don't know what we're going to do here. Because look, man, you know what it's like. The best part of living in Indianapolis is you can rock up to the airport 40 minutes before your flight and still have 10 minutes at the gate before boarding.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was a little concerned, as were many of the people in line with us in that area. In fact, one of your neighbors was with us in line. Yeah.
How do you know who my neighbors
Wait, which
are?
one?
Well,
Marcus Dixon?
A neighbor with 2 golden retrievers.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And so she was there. Yeah, great lady. Lovely. We had a nice little chat, a nice little mild panic. She was going to Dallas for work. And we were like, God, so like we started in the TSA pre-line. We're like, I don't know. We all went, Becky, her and I all went to the other line. We're like, I don't think this is right. Went back to the TSA pre-line. It did go through just fine. So we got there. It was good. The new X-ray machines are still terrible, and everybody acknowledges that. But just warning, Monday morning, pre-9 a.m. flights, give yourself just a tiny bit of extra time because I had to go to the gate while Becky got a coffee because Becky needs a coffee in the morning. And I needed to get my carry-on bag in the overhead. So I had to leave her in the coffee line because we were pushing it a little bit too close. So just buy yourself a couple extra minutes there. But it was a great group. A bunch of us in line actually had a lot of fun, had a lot of laughs for a Monday morning.
See, that's a very different experience than I would have had because I would have been miserable and not talked to anyone.
Yes.
So would have not had laughs or met new friends.
Okay, but how is that different?
Yeah. Whether it was a good day at the airport or a bad day at the airport, that's just...
Than you in general. Yeah, I mean, unless it was horses and children. I feel like that's how you would have been in that crowd anyway.
Puppies too.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's
he's
fair.
an animal lover. I got a question for you, though. If you go, like this is, I kind of default to airport just because it's the most common place this happens. But if you're going into a public restroom and you're going for a poop and all the stalls are full, do you post up and just like be the dude stalking outside the stalls, or do you like, I'll come back later and leave?
I go find another restroom.
I feel like it depends on the urgency, right? Usually I just come back later or go to another one, but sometimes you gotta.
Yeah.
I've never stood outside of a stall in a public airport.
So you've a public
public place, shopping mall, whatever.
Well, yeah. When you fly in private all the time, I guess sometimes it happens. Smaller bathrooms. That's plane owner life. No. So okay, but this is serious because like sometimes have you ever gone? So you've never gone to one. It was full, so you left, went to a different one, and it was also full. That's never happened.
I'm sure it's happened, but I still would then go to another one, or I would just go back and try again in 10 minutes.
Okay, so you've never like stood in the bathroom for more than 30 seconds waiting for a stall.
Oh, well, I've waited for a urinal because
I'm saying
the line's out the door or whatever.
Yeah. No, I'm saying for stall.
Never.
Tim, you've done it. Yeah. I did.
Yeah, I wouldn't say like that wouldn't usually be what I would do. I'd usually just be like, I'll come back later, or I'll go find another one. But it's happened.
Because it happened to me today, and I was like, this is it. It's so weird, man. It's so awkward standing around a bathroom waiting for a stall to open to then just go immediately sit down in the same toilet some other guy just dropped a bomb in. It's a tough thing to get over.
And like you feel the warmth.
It's
like,
so warm.
It's not cold like you want it to be. Yeah.
Even with the ass gasket, there's still something there. You're like, I don't love it. I don't love this. Because we were I don't want to call out airports.
Well, do you know
Philadelphia sucks. So
do you know what I hate? Do you want to know what I hate most about the public restroom? Is not really where my ass goes, because whatever. Whatever. I'm not worried about that. But like the toilet paper situation is bad because like for the people
The
that
old half ply.
that need to go, the people that need to go touch it again for the next round, right? Like they're spreading some literal.
I never really thought about it like that. That's
The toilet paper holder and then obviously the door handle, but like the toilet paper situation is atrocious.
Plus, it tastes weird.
Yes, Jim. Well played.
Okay.
So,
all right. So Philadelphia.
Yeah, no. Yeah. So, yeah, that was it. I mean, like Becky. So we got off the plane and Becky went to the first bathroom. And
is this the story about Becky this whole time? When
no,
you're like,
no,
a friend of mine.
No.
Okay.
She walked out 3 seconds later. She was like, I went to 3 different stalls. This state of them. She's like, it was shocking. She's like, I didn't know human beings could make that kind of a mess. I'm like, oh God. And we didn't have a super long layover. We had just enough time. So I was like, well, why don't we just pop in the lounge if for nothing else? I'm sure they've got better bathrooms there. So we go there. And I walked in and they were full. All the stalls were full. It was early morning. I didn't have enough time in the morning to do my thing. So I go in there, early morning, whatever, full. I'm like, okay, I'll just come back. So I come back, still full. But at this point, I was like, I'm not coming back a third time. I'm just posting up. And I just had to stand there. And like, I saw another dude open the door, walk in, look at me, see all 3 stalls with a red light, and then me standing there. He's like, nope, and just closed the door and walked out. I'm like, that was me 10 minutes ago. I get it. But at some point, you got to just commit to stalking the men's washroom, and it's terrible.
So are you there with like headphones on, looking at your phone, or are you just raw dogging the stall? Are you just staring at it?
Dude, this time I was raw dogging. I didn't want to pull my phone out. I didn't want to get comfortable. I didn't want to make it like, I feel like pulling your phone out in a bathroom is weird unless you're in the stall, at which point everybody's obviously on their phone. But I didn't want to do it. So I just kind of stood there like hands in the pocket, kind of like leaning against the wall, one foot up against the wall, just looking at the floor, kind of like,
just breathing it all in. Yeah.
Oh, just taking in all the sense.
So buddy, on our trip back, speaking of raw dogging, I've never seen this before in my life. He got on a plane with not a single belonging, just himself and his wallet and his phone.
Backpack,
no headphones,
luggage, no headphones, nothing.
Just him.
And it was like a day trip. He was going for lunch somewhere.
No. This is our friend that went for 3 days with us to Saratoga.
Oh my God.
Just nothing. He just stand in line and he looked so comfortable just walking through the airport with himself.
Nope.
Looked a little lost, but like
he's lost, he's naked, he's unprepared for anything going wrong.
He was in flip-flops, just
oh my
amazing.
God, you don't flip-flops on airplanes. That's a fundamental.
Amazing.
God.
So good.
I already know who it is. And I'm it's
you do.
I can't wait to see him next and have this conversation
Drew?
in person.
Was it Drew?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course it was.
Yeah.
It's 100% true.
I got some big issues with that. We're gonna have a whole conversation about it. I hope you guys flushed some things out when you were there, because that's just wrong.
No, I was so impressed. I was so jealous. I was just like, he could post up at the bar at the airport and didn't have to worry about his bag or anything. He just sat down.
Nope.
And like Tim's loving it. Tim's gonna do it next time, I think.
Absolutely not.
Flip-flop on a
Do you
plane,
know
I will
how much?
absolutely
No.
slap you.
First of all, no. Nobody needs to see. I don't even want to see my feed. Second of all, no. I travel with everything. I travel with everything I would possibly need.
I never check bags for the exact reason that when we got here, one of the bags we checked, not mine, was lost and does not show up till tomorrow. And I was like, I got all my stuff. I'm good. It's fine. But the highlight of the trip.
Except for that time in Italy, you dummy.
It was the first time I checked a bag, and I know we talked about this, probably 5 years. And I haven't done it since. I hate checking bags. Anyway, one of the highlights was, so we connected in this terrible airport, which I won't mention Philadelphia's name. And when we got in the next plane, we were in an exit row. And we were sat there and maybe a mimosa or two in. And the lady, the flight attendant comes around and says, hey, you're sitting in an exit row. I need a verbal confirmation that you'll do X, Y, Z, whatever. She starts pointing at everybody, and she looks at Becky, and Becky goes, well, I mean, I guess we'll find out. Evidently, that's not the answer they're looking for.
I was going to say, I saw you tweet that.
Yes
what was
that
their
want.
response? Because I feel like the response was either like, I need an affirmative yes from you or you're moving.
Dude, it was literally the entire row. So we were on one side. It was only the two of us. The third person didn't show up, even though it was a full flight, apparently. So the other side of the aisle literally does this. And so it was for those that aren't watching on YouTube, go check out the YouTube video and give us a like and a follow.
It'll be out tomorrow.
They just leaned forward and looked across the aisle like, what the f-? It was so funny, man. Now that I've seen it happen, I'm gonna it's gonna be a thing to just with people every time I'm in an exit row. Are you willing and able to help? Oh, got a bit of a fear of heights. Probably not going to pull that door open. I got to be totally honest. I feel like
that's a good way to like get put in a middle seat or on the no-fly list. I don't know if you know this about
business class. I don't know
if you know this about
definitely
flying in America, but not a great sense of humor about it.
Dude, it was great. It was great. No, just kidding. I'm good. Well, I got you. I totally got you. And now nobody has any confidence that you got them. Nobody. It was great. Look, as far as racing news goes, nothing's racing. We talked about Road America. I just want to shout out that Jamie Chadwick is getting a test in an IndyCar, which is awesome. Very excited to see how that goes. Another F2 driver, Maloney, is going to be doing a test, I believe for Dale, which is pretty cool because Dale is pretty good at, Ray Hall.
He already did the test. It was on Friday with Ray Hall. Certainly not going.
Oh, sorry. It was Ray Hall. Sorry. I know it was Ray Hall. Yes, it was. I forgot it already happened. I forget what they were doing this stuff. Tim, you're muted, which is even better. But I was
talking to Hazel.
More drivers getting opportunities to drive IndyCars, which is very cool. And what else? There was a test at Gateway that I think went well. I think Andretti was quick. It's a short, small group.
I mean, yeah, it's hard, right? Because it was a very limited group that went. A lot of guys used it for their rookie test day. So Nolan went, obviously, as he's a rookie. And it was kind of the same thing that I had talked about and experienced. Like, yep, it's the downforce kind of masks the weight of the hybrid. It's hard to follow cars. There's not two lanes. Like that's what do we expect? Like that's just what it is.
And the other big news to come out of Gateway was our boy Connor Daly was driving the 78 JHR machine. So I've seen nothing official about what's happening for the race.
That was a funny story. So he called me up on last Monday. It was like 9 p.m. And he was like, hey man, can you fly your plane? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, oh no, I just meant like with your hand and everything. I was like, oh yeah, no, I'm good. Thanks. And he was like, well, do you have your plane? And I was like, what do you want? Like, no.
That's a fair question.
Ed has my plane. But what do you need? He's like, oh, well, I can't really talk about it, but I need to get to Chicago to get my race seat. And I was like, Connor, I mean, there's only one team that's in Chicago that would have your race seat. So who are you driving for? Cause it's clearly not the team that you're getting your race seat from. He's like, oh, I can't tell you that. And my response to him was, I'm not taking you if you're driving the 7 car. He was like, no, it's not that. I was like, okay, fine, we can go.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
But no, I'm happy for him to get to the chance to test. We'll see what that means moving forward. But cool to see Connor back in the seat.